Virginia Woolf filling her pockets with stones to hold her down in the river so that she could do an effective job of drowning. And even the reason our dog is named William, for example, is because Dino Cavalli bought him during a particularly bad bout of paranoia and named him for his enemy and former manager and agent, William Tiero. He liked the idea of this poor, ugly dog named William that would eat used Kleenex if he had the chance. He liked yelling at William for getting too personal with guests. I can hear his voice, even now, in his Italian accent. "Get your nose out of Mrs. Kadinsky's crotch, William," he'd say with mock seriousness, and everyone would picture William Tiero with his bald head and beetle eyes, and they would laugh. Man, oh man, you didn't want to get on Dino Cavalli's bad side. Some people think the brilliant have been touched by God, and if this is true, then Dino Cavalli got God on the day he was wearing black leather and listening to his metal CDs, feeling a bit twisted and in the kind of mood where you laugh at people when they fall down. God wearing a studded collar. Because sure, Dino Cavalli was a world-renowned composer and violinist, a combination of talent virtually unheard of, but there were days he didn't get out of bed, even to shower. And sure, he wrote and performed Amore Innamorato, said to have moments of such brutal tenderness and soulful passion that it will live forever in both the hearts of audience members and the annals of modern composing. Dawson Cook, Cavalli Strikes a Perfect Note, Strad Magazine, April 1996, as well as the unforgettable Artemisia, breathtaking and heart-stopping work with the brilliance of the 17th century masters. Alice Lambert, The Season's Best, Strad Magazine, May 1989. But he also had the ability to make you feel small to the point of disappearance. His perfectionism could shatter your joy like a bullet through a stained glass window. What I'm saying is, he possessed magnificent and destructive layers. Either that or he was just plain possessed. I mean, it all got toned down in the papers, but we all know what could have happened to William Tiero that day. We all know what happens when you self-destruct. Yet I've got to say, listening to his music can make you cry. Goosebumps actually rise up along your arms. Everyone wants to get close to genius and fame, claim pieces of it, mostly because it's the closest they'll ever get to fame themselves. You learn this when you live with someone renowned. Those who knew that Dino Cavalli was my stepfather think I'm near enough to fame to call it good. Fame, the nearness of it, the possibility of it rubbing off, seems to turn people into obsessed Tolkien characters, hypnotized not by a ring but by the thought of getting on TV. Luckily at my school, most of the kids who hear the name Dino Cavalli will think it's some brand of designer shoes. To the majority, I am just Cassie Morgan, regular 17-year-old trying to figure out what to do with my life and hoping my jeans are clean and swearing at myself for cutting my own bangs again. Few know my stepfather was once on the cover of Time magazine, or was also well known for the journals in which he wrote of his sexual adventures as a young composer in Paris. Everyone is too involved in the school game of how orange is Tiffany Morris's makeup today to care, even if they did. But the teachers and orchestra students, they know who I am, and I see what it means to them. Once, during a school concert, this kid was staring so hard at me that he accidentally stepped into an open viola case and wore it like an overgrown shoe for a few seconds on the gym floor. And then there's Shang Chibo, who used to follow me home every day. She would walk far behind me and duck behind trees when I turned around like some cartoon spy. She once tripped over a tree root in the process and spewed the contents of her backpack all over the place. You couldn't find a more incompetent stalker. I went over to her after she fell, and her palms even had those little pockmarks on them from landing on gravel. Now we have a Scrooge Tiny Tim partnership of reluctant giving and nauseating gratitude. To Shang, I'm second in line in the worship chain of command, right after Dino. If people look at the famous as if they've been touched by God, then they look at those close to the famous as the ones who have seen Jesus' face in the eggplant. You would never have recognized the Dino I lived with in the books that had been written about him before the incident. No one had a clue. No one seemed to see what was coming. His demons were the real truth, but those who clutched at his fame made him into someone else. Just listen to Irma Latorre, a villager from Sabatino Grappa, interviewed in Edward Reynolds' Dino Cavalli, The Early Years, An Oral History, the much-quoted source of Dino's childhood. It's his only authorized biography, in which the people who knew him then tell the events of his life.
Everyone in Sabatino Grappa